That's beautiful. I've never seen that one before. I don't even know why you hold it.
It's in Old Man Logan.
Okay.
I'm sorry I interrupted. Let's have some more of the carnage.
Yeah, I hope you like that. That was some of the footage I shot a couple weeks ago at the Mississauga 80s Toy Expo. And I think that's a nice thing about living in Toronto is you know, we're very lucky because there are very seldom a week or two go by where there isn't at least some convention that you can go to. And I'm not just talking about comics. We're talking about toy conventions, anime conventions. So yeah, I mean, there's some great, and what do we got coming up in February? We're going to be doing something we've never done before. We're actually going to be going to a military memorabilia convention. We're going to shoot some footage there as well. And you get to see some old relics from World War I, World War II, even like Civil War stuff they sell there sometimes. So that'll be kind of cool, don't you think?
Oh, that should be very cool. A different slice there, man, from our usual ramblings.
Wouldn't mind a monkey bones patch for my knapsack.
That would be kind of cool, eh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this 80s Toy Expo is held, you know, a couple times a year. And just like the Fan Expo and any other convention for that matter, you got to be careful what you do while you're there. Case in point, if you look here, you'll see I saw a Hot Toys. This is a really nice hot. You know, there's. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Hot Toys. I meant to say Hasbro Black Series. And you're looking around the convention, and I saw a Phasma, Captain Phasma Black Series action figure. You know the ones that I've been collecting, and I saw a Phasma selling for $80.
$80.
That's lunacy.
Wasn't the release price something like $25, $30?
$29. $29.
Yeah.
You can buy right now at Toys R Us for $29. Yet there was a guy selling it for $80, and you go over two vendors, and another guy selling for $25. So you got to be real careful what you're doing at these conventions. You can really get. Well, you know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I call them stingers, man.
Yeah.
Sting to the pocketbook.
Doesn't matter what convention you go to, you always got to first peruse the entire floor before you start buying.
Good strategy. Always do your recon.
Prices popping out and what pops out at you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to look down because sometimes the deals are at the bottom rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, price compare.
Now, there's one other thing I just want to tell you because I love looking at these toy shows because I get some really good prices. You get a good idea what the prices are in the market for, and I also go online. I like to check eBay. Now, I saw I mean, I have to mention this because I think this is just crazy. on eBay the other day, I saw a mint in box or mint on card, as they call it, Boba Fett, selling on eBay. Now, I'm not talking about the rare Boba Fett with the blaster that fires or anything
Just the
crazy.
regular issue
Regular-
one, but in the package, and the package minty.
A mint from like 1979.
Yeah, how much was it going for?
What do you? I want you to tell me what you think it was going for. Mint on card.
Okay, well, first of all, it's going to be 4 digits. It's not going to be anything under $1,000.
All right. Tell me what you
So
think.
I would think between $1,500 and $2,000 somebody would ask for U.S.
Mike, what do you think?
I haven't got a clue. 'Cause I usually don't look at that stuff, but
There's no way this idiot's ever going to get this amount of money. But he was asking $16,688.
Never going to happen, not unless you have a mint in box rare launcher, the thing
Yeah.
launcher
is
one.
it numbered as number 1?
No.
It was a regular run-of-the-mill Boba Fett. It was graded mint on card. At most, it's worth $500 or $600.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think it'd be that slow.
This guy wanted 16,688, or in U.S. dollars, it equates to about 12,500 U.S. You're never going to get that.
He's waiting for an Arab sheet.
You know,
or a
that's
little sheet
what I-
to show up and not care. And yes, I need 5 of those, please. Thank
Yeah, that's an end of the rainbow price, man. You're throwing a price there, you hope it sticks on the wall, and you get that guy who's just, has to have it, and money is no object. But
Yeah.
you know what? You could wait a while
Yeah.
waiting for that guy. You could wait forever, actually.
Actually, yeah, he might hit. Yeah.
And one last note before we get on to the comic book part of our segment. I just want to say, Hot Toys just recently released a 1/6 scale Millennium Falcon. Yeah, I saw it. 1/6 scale. The thing is 18 feet long.
Oh,
It was unveiled at the Hong Kong Anime Con, and where the hell would you keep something that large?
Better have a big backyard for that puppy.
again, if you own a mansion
Wow,
with
yeah.
many rooms, you can have that, I suppose.
Anyways, if you want a 1/6 scale Millennium Falcon, Hot Toys. That's where you're gonna get it from. Anyways, okay, let's not waste any more time because we got a great episode for you tonight. Obviously, I got my special guest Jose and my special guest Mike here. We've got some really cool books to show you, plus a few choice other objects. So, without further ado, let's get started. And here goes Jose again. Hi, in Jose. What do we got here?
Okay, let's start with a bang again. This is Captain Marvel number 26, Volume 1. From May of 1973. Continuing on in my Captain Marvel run here, we've spoken about several Captain Marvels recently in previous episodes. Now, what should I start saying by this boy? That this sucker still really isn't considered the second or third appearance, depending who you ask, of Thanos. And it's only noted as a minor appearance of Thanos in the industry. In this industry, it's the wacky world of whatever secret organization that determines the various definitions of appearances in comic books, whatever. Whatever I say.
Yeah.
In any case, however, what must be noted is that Captain Marvel 26 does have the first time that Thanos is on the cover of a comic book. Okay?
Wow.
You can kind of see him on the shadowed out on the upper left-hand corner, just right under the M in Marvel. Standing behind him is Death. Oh, yeah. Now, recent reports have stated that Avengers 3 will indeed follow the plot line of the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, in that series, Thanos collects the gems in an effort to stamp out all life in the universe. He does this, of course, to impress Mistress Death. Now, so far, Death has not been revealed anywhere in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If they are going to use Thanos' obsession with Death, which is actually mentioned in the first Marvel Cinematic appearance of him, then they should probably start leaving the groundwork for her now. Planning out the steps of which this is going to have appear her in the movies. Now, if this, of course, or anything else like it happens, then, of course, this issue, Captain Marvel 26, is going to just explode, as it has, in my opinion, the first appearance of Death in Marvel Comics. Now, do I recommend this issue? Of course I do.
Yeah.
Actually, I suggest snagging all the early appearances of Thanos in the Captain Marvel Volume 1 first Thanos story war arc, which ran from issues 25 through 33. Now, it's only a matter of time before people start gunning out for these books when Thanos' role becomes more apparent and larger in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. All right, so let's conclude by saying that the breakdown on this bad boy for the 8.9 and 9.2 splits on the Overstreet latest guide are $51, $96, and $140 US for the 8.9 and 9.2s. Now, this is a 9.4. This is a full near mint book. 9.4s are currently dropping for about $300 US. So I got it exactly for the Canadian equivalent, $375.
Cool.
Now, if you'll remember, I'm bargain key hunter, Jose. Here I'm a middleweight. So basically, I traded some low and medium grade silver key issues to corral this bad boy from
Yeah.
Paradise Comics, a store that I haven't really mentioned that much before, but it's been there for a while and they specialize on Silver Age issues. So by trading, I got more than I would by just selling the books outright. So I got this and a few other goodies, and this is my main acquisition from them. And I'm very happy to have a 9.4 of what I think is the most important issue in that run because of the death. Now, I should end by saying that this may or may not be the first appearance of Death in the Marvel Universe. MarvelWikia.com has it as a first appearance, but ComicBookDatabase.com has it only as a sixth appearance. In this case, I'm going to go with Marvel, and since Marvel Wiki, and if they say it's a first appearance, as far as I'm concerned, it's a first appearance.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, you sold a couple of books or traded a couple of books for this.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a cherry book, that's for sure. Actually, one of the books you traded though was Your Hero for Hire, wasn't it?
Yes, it was only about a VG copy. Now that's a book that, in even that condition, that's about $250 Canadian. I could have gone for that.
That was a nice book, and that was actually, if I'm not mistaken, one of the very early books you showed.
Yes.
When you first started showing books with us on our
it
channel
was just
here.
it was just a little too low for me. It's got that tough black cover in the window pane, and it's a beautiful book in high grade. But man, I was just never happy with a VG copy.
Tough to find those in high grade, eh?
But see, I broke my own rule of buying the grade that you really want and can live with.
Yeah.
I should have gotten at least a 6 on that, and that's why I traded it in.
Cool. Well, that's a fantastic book, Jose, and I love it. Mike, do you have one of these?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Well, I'm not gonna say hell no. I'll say I keep digging.
Keep digging.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, thanks a lot, Jose. Fantastic book. Okay, and again, Jose. We'll continue with Jose. Again, he's not messing around. Another really nice CGC book, Marvel Premiere #1. Wow, Jose. Fantastic book.
Yeah, I had to dig that knife in another inch or two in your backside there for mentioning that I'm showing too many Warlock titles. So I thought I'd continue with my second CGC book. This is a recent return that I submitted through our local Retro Rare. So unlike the disappointment I had with that Strange Tales, I basically graded this book pretty close. I said it was a 5.5, a fine minus, and it came back a 5. So Spider-Man, I got a half grade higher. This one, I got a half grade lower than I expected. So that's not too bad in this realm. Now, at that grade, though, I mean, most people would say, it's kind of a tough lower grade for a book from the early Bronze Age. This is from April '72. And I thought, you know what? Sometimes you buy with your heart, sometimes you buy with your head. This was definitely a heart book.
Yeah.
You know, I bought it from my local, the Big P there. I paid $60 for it. Canadian, it's about $45 US at the time. It was not a bad price. And that's what I thought. It was around the 6-ish price, you know, fine price. It's not bad. It cost me an extra $60 to slab it. So, I mean, if you look only at the Overstreet guide, I mean, on that grade, it only should be about a $30 US or $40 Canadian book. But these things are, this book is a really major key. If you're a Warlock guy, this is one of the books that you must have. So in that case, I mean, it's going for really about 200 to 300% above grade on the Overstreet.
Yeah, I was going to say, that $45 price you mentioned, I don't think I've ever seen any comic
I would
vendors.
imagine if you go on eBay, you're going to pay a ridiculous
Yeah, so
price
really
for that.
now the main thing that when you have a slab book is you can literally see what the average price for that grade is dropping for. So for a CGC 5 grade right now, the current price is about $120 US, which is about 150 Canadian. So being in it about 120 bucks, I'm still okay. I don't plan to sell it, but you know, I wish I had a higher grade copy.
Now sorry, Jose, just to interject for a sec. That price you just gave us,
Yeah.
was that from eBay or was it
From eBay,
from eBay?
Yeah.
Okay.
CGC 5s are dropping for about $120 US, which is about 150 Canadian currently on the market. Now, one of the last things I should end this episode by saying is sometimes when you compare, we have a 5 grade and the previous book was a 9.4. We get questions about investment grade. And for people out there who don't know what that means, I can only give my definition of what I think investment grade for a book is. And you can't really speak, you know, specifically until you're talking about a specific book. But generally, I would say the book, what's going to determine, obviously, the main two factors as far as that is market demand and desirability, of course. That's a basic economic fact. But, of course, condition. And I would say you have to look at the era that the book is from. If you got a Golden Age book, I would say an investment grade for a Golden Age book is about a 6.
That's
so
fair.
that's a fine book. From the Silver Age, I would want a VF, an 8. And if you're looking for a Bronze Age or more modern book, well, I would say Bronze Age at least a 9.2, and for modern books at least 9.6s or 9.8s. And that's what I think as far as an investment grade book for a certain era of book should be. The grade that's going to give you the maximum return on investment for that grade that you would want to maximize your profit or
Yeah.
investment on it.
Now, the modern age, you said, what did you say, investment grade for modern
I
age?
would say you want nothing less than a 9.6, 9.8 for anything over the last 25, 30
I'd
years.
say 9.4, but yeah, basically
I'd
you're
say
right.
9.4.
9.4. And the reason why I
Near
say
mint enough.
that is because with modern age books, in especially with Marvel, they've always had there's been a printing press cutting issue. So almost every book that comes out is flared. Like when I go into my comic book store, I dig through and look for the least flare out of, like, if he's got 100 copies of it
Yeah,
or 50 copies.
so yeah, getting a 9.8, I mean, I
But
think
it's
that's...
very difficult
yeah.
because the printing press has been off or the cutter has been off for a while. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, fantastic book. Hey, Mike, do you have one of these? I'm just joking. I don't have one either. I'm just...
Oh, I've got 30 of them in the trunk of my car.
Cool, cool.
A couple in the sink.
I'm coming down to your car later.
Yeah.
Okay, as I said before, this is not always about vintage books, although most of our shows will feature vintage books. We like to buy a lot of the new books as well. We just don't show them a lot of the time. But this is one of the times we're going to show one. This is the new series by Dynamite Comics, Kiss. Now, anybody knows anything about collecting or collector memorabilia knows that Kiss fans are fanatical. They tend to collect everything and anything that has the Kiss logo on it. So my opinion is that these books will increase in value because the Kiss fanatics will jump all over these. And Mike, you wanted to do me the honors here and just show the next book. There was like, it's crazy. There's like 15 or 20 variants. I just bought the 5 common ones.
Freely's my favorite.
That's Ace Frehley there, yeah. And next one here we got is who is that? Who?
Ace Frehley
Paul
again.
Stanley.
No, that's Paul Stanley, yeah.
Paul Stanley,
As you can
that's
see,
right.
I'm a big Kiss aficionado. But anyways, I actually did read the book. The artwork inside is pretty cool. The story basically revolves around bunch of kids, spoiler alert, bunch of teenagers living in a post-apocalyptic earthen society. I think the surface was destroyed by a nuclear war hundreds of years ago, and so now everybody's living underground. Mike, you want to show us the next one as well?
Wow, what you just described sounds like the video from Lick It Up.
It also sounds to me like Logan's Run, but then again, everything to me sounds like Logan's Run.
Yeah, you got a fetish for that movie.
Anyways,
buddy.
there you go. You got Gene Simmons there. That's a great cover. I love that. So anyways, these teenagers get it in their head. You can go to the next one. These teenagers get it in their head. That's Peter Criss there. That they're going to travel out of the city, head to the surface, and find out whether it's the surface is inhabitable. So they go on this grand adventure, and the story basically takes off from there. It's a post-apocalyptic society, and somehow Kiss is going to be involved. They weren't really seen in the first episode, but you could see their logos on the wall and their pictures on the wall, so they're going to be integrated in the story very shortly. And Mike showed the very last one I picked as well.
To clarify, or so use one of your words, synopsize this. Wait a minute. These things have the band on the covers, but they technically, none of these issues have the actual band appearing in the books.
Sort of at the end. I'm going to say sort of at the end, but essentially yes. The first episode, they're not really featured as characters in the story, insofar as that they actually interact with the kids that are heading to the surface.
Okay, so here you have a situation of a market thing, or what I would call the sizzle trying to sell the steak there. So you've got the band up front and center, but they're technically not really in the books.
Okay, bottom line is, my opinion is, whether you're into Kiss or not, I think these will be a top seller, and I think they will increase in value, especially for an indie. I say pick them up.
I don't disagree with you, because a good cover will always sell itself.
And not only that, but if you get a chance, if you're a Kiss fan, watch the 77 or 78 Kiss movie. That was hilarious.
Or if you want a new and updated take on it, Detroit Rock City is always a fun blast.
Yeah. Classic Kiss stuff. Jose, I'm starting to get the opinion that you like Warlock.
Really? I gave myself away, eh? Wow. I think I was being stealthy and sly, but what can I say? Here we are. It's Warlock YouTube channel. All Warlock keys all the time.
All Warlock all the time.
Yeah,
We're gonna
so
open up a Warlock store right next to the what was the other store that we were gonna open up?
Power Girl All-Star 58
yeah,
store.
that's right.
All-Star 58.
Power Girl store, and then next door is gonna be the Warlock store.
I think you guys get the feeling that I really dig Warlock, hey? So, natural continuation from the previous segment. This is the Power of Warlock #1 from August 1972, in which it's got the origin of Adam Warlock continuing from the first issue to this first self-titled series. This issue here continues the origin story of Adam Warlock from Marvel Premiere issues 1 and 2, of which we featured issue #1 on the previous segment. That's probably why CGC and Overstreet are also noted as the origin for the character. But I will have to say it's confusing if you don't really know the character. I've spoken about the nature of this character in previous episodes, so let's see if we can clarify a little bit more. As we should all know, hopefully by now, him is the first incarnation of this character. Adam Warlock is the second incarnation of this character. Now, there are other times when this character goes through incarnations, okay? But I think that's just being overly analytical. Okay, and that's just fine. But I think the next major incarnation of significance is when he becomes the Magus, or meets him. That's his mad future self, bent on destruction. So, in any case, back to this issue. In this issue here, the High Evolutionary contemplates whether or not to destroy Counter-Earth. But Adam Warlock convinces the dude not to. Warlock is then returned to Counter-Earth, where he meets the Man-Beast, disguised as the Prophet. Man-Beast tells Warlock that he will destroy him unless our hero allies himself with the Man-Beastie. Now, this is the first issue to Adam Warlock's very first headlining solo comic. It doesn't do that great and is briefly canceled after issue #8 in 1973. Only when my hero, Jim Starling, that Cosmic King, takes on the character in Strange Tales 178, is the character brought back to life, so to speak. Good, another incarnation there.
Really?
Now, Jim Starling's revival and contribution is instrumental, in my opinion, in the character's development and eventual popularity. He introduced the supporting characters such as Pip the Troll, Gamora, the Magus, and would, of course, bring his big bad Thanos into the mix and forever link the two together in the world of cosmic comics.
Yeah.
Now, he isn't hailed as the Cosmic King of Comics without a reason. However, of course, he did not write this issue nor any issue until issue #9. Let's finally break this down. The Overstreet breakdowns for this bad boy are in 8, 9, and 9/2 splits, 28, $47, and $65. Now that seems ridiculous considering how much you see I paid for this book, but of course I always think you cannot be literal. Some people consider the Overstreet Guide the Bible and are literalists and will not deviate from what they think a pricing for a book should be.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this thing is printed once a year with data collected from the previous year's sales. If we know a market, any kind of a market, it's not a static thing. It's fluids. There's ups and downs. There's bids and ebbs. Now, what I will say generally that the prices applying to common grade books or books of, not collectability as far as a key factor, I should say, you can yet generally use it and be fairly certain that if you stay within those parameters, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Of course, my point is that the top 5% of really hot key in-demand books are not going to be reflected as prices on the Overstreet Guide.
Yeah.
So, doing a little bit more searching on this book, in 8.0, and these are CGC grades, are dropping for about $100, so that's $125 US.
On eBay.
On eBay. And at 9, they're about $160 or 200 Canadian. Now, I paid 180 Canadian. Now, this is a higher grade. This is what we get back into as trying to invest in an investment grade copy grade.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it's quite as high as a 9. It's got that tough black window pane cover again. So it's going to be very tough, but it's a very nice looking book. I'm going to do the old oogie-eyed thing and take half a grade off of it and say this is an 8.5. So at that thing, I'm going to spend a little bit of bucks, $60 grading it, getting it slabbed, but if it comes back at around an 8.5, I'll be happy.
Great.
So, great pickup, another Warlock key for me, check mark. I'm obviously accumulating these bad boys.
Yeah, and obviously a #1 issue and a beautiful book, Jose. And as I said before, you got to stop showing us up, man. I have to go out and spend some high-end, some serious cash just to show you up once in a while.
Yeah. You think about that.
How about you, Mike? You got something to compete with that, or?
I need a new car. Can we put that on the podium? I don't think so.
Okay, and for Paul's next and probably last book of the evening, Miss Marvel. I think the little guy is here trying to compete with the big fish here. Are you trying to push some keys on us, buddy?
Hey, this is a key, buddy, and you know it is.
It is a key.
You know it is.
But the little boy is putting on his big boy pants and competing with the shark here.
Yeah, okay. Whatever, dude.
wow.
Okay, so this book,
comment.
this book obviously needs no introduction, and I'm super stoked about finding it. This is Marvel, Miss Marvel number 18 from June 1978. It needs no introduction. I think we all know what this is. The first appearance of Mystique.
First appearance or first cameo appearance?
No, this is the first appearance. I'll talk about the cameo later, but this is the first appearance. This is considered the first full appearance of Mystique. Full.
Whatever full means.
Whatever full means. We had this discussion before.
Yeah, there's leeway there.
They'll
But
see-
anyways, you got it's a fantastic book. Nice Dave Cockburn, Jim Novak cover, and more importantly, you got a great Chris Claremont story, our favorite writer from the old X-Men days.
Oh, yeah. One
Yeah.
half of the Claremont Burn team there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'll be honest, this has been one of my holy grails. I looked for this book for such a long time. I found one about, I think it was 2 years ago at the Ontario Collector Con, and the guy had a super great price on it, $40. So I'm all excited. I'm going to buy this book. It looks like near mint condition. So I go and I'm picking it up. I'm looking at the corners. The corners are perfect. The spine seems perfect. And I turn it into the light, and all of a sudden I see this like purple glow. And I go, uh-oh, I've seen this before. So any of you guys that know anything about comics, there are some clowns out there that when they get spine break, you break the spine, the paint breaks, you get a little white,
White creases and lines like age wrinkles of a comic.
exactly. And some idiot took a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, and filled in two small spine breaks that otherwise, it would have decreased the value of the book, but not by much. So, and anybody who knows anything about a Sharpie, as soon as you turn it into the light at the right angle, it glows. It almost glows purple. I mean, you can see it. It stands out like a sore thumb. So they took a book that, probably would have been, a $40 to $60 book with the spine break and turned it into a $20 book because they tried to do a hack restoration job on some cheap Sharpie. And I was so disappointed, so I put the book down and I walked away. And I'd looked at this book a number of times, so they're either overpriced or undergrade. So I was about to give up on life as far as this book goes. And then lo and behold, at this summer's Toronto Comic Book Show, I found this. And it was in beautiful condition. And he bundled it together with, as you just mentioned, the first cameo appearance of Miss Marvel, which I haven't shown yet. I'll show later at some
Of
episode.
Mystique?
Yeah. No, the first cameo experience of Mystique, and also with the first black suit, when Miss Marvel goes from the red suit there to the black suit. So I got a bundle of all three keys for a really great price. I think I paid $120 for all three of them, which is a steal.
Bundle magic. Bundle
steal.
mania, boys and girls. If you got several books from one dealer and he's got a good price, but you think you can get a better deal, man, use the powers of bundling, man.
Mm-hmm.
Get a bundle special, and then you will never regret it because you will get a cost reduction per book that will make it seem like it was like, you could not
using
get for a single book.
You're using the powers of cash in your hand, and he's got them for way lower anyways.
Okay, so just to give a quick breakdown, according to the comic book realm, and as we were just discussing, you got to take the prices on the comic book realm with a grain of salt because they are ballpark, and they are. I say ballpark, I mean really ballpark.
I don't think I should comment on this. I'm well known on this subject as far as especially the higher grades. The split between the difference in the prices are just sometimes nonsensical.
Yeah,
can I
that's for
say?
sure. So a near mint, and by near mint I mean 9.2. The comic book realm lists it at 145.
U.S. Okay,
That's right,
sure.
U.S. In a VF coffee, and by VF I mean 8.0, 127.
127. Wow.
$13 difference between a
Two great difference.
that's-
Wow.
yeah.
Whacked.
And in a fine copy, and by fine I mean a 6.0, you're looking at about $45.
That's more reasonable.
Okay.
It's two full grades, so
Yeah, I
okay.
could see
Yeah.
that.
But you can talk about the splits between the higher grades all day long, and it's still just it has to be reminded that the way they compile the prices is that it's basically a database of people's collections, and what's happening is they're inputting the prices that are paid for books. And if you paid these really low prices 15, 20, 25 years ago, you're having an effect of what they're thinking the pricing is on a thing. It never can truly reflect what the true market is bearing. The market is the market, and it's it's like to see ebbs and flows from day to day, from month to month, and from year to year. You cannot ever really capture it in black and white terms by having a list of any kind, a guide, a compendium, a site. You have to know what's going on in the market, and you can really get a feel by going out to comic book stores, by doing conventions, and actually seeing what things are being priced for, and more importantly, sold for.
Exactly.
So anyway, super excited about finally finding this book. With the exception of a little bit of spine roll, you can see that if you look along the top where the Marvel Comics comic
you
group,
can see it.
there's a bit of a. But anyways, other than that, this is a fantastic, beautiful copy. Sharp corners, no spine break, beautiful. And the best thing of all, neither Mike nor Jose has this. I have it, but they don't have it.
Yet.
And of course, because I show a key Jose here, high-end Jose all of a sudden has to play the old one-upsmanship thing on me, and not just one-upsmanship, but two, and another Golden Age book. Could this be our second Golden Age book?
Yes, it certainly must be, yes. Recent snag from that local favorite, Retro Rare. Hey Sandy, how are you, man? It's good seeing you. And here we're featuring a book from a recent snag at your shop. Jungle Comics, issue 151 from January 1950. It's another really good book. It's a really good condition book. We talked about investment grade. I think this is a fine plus. So it would be half a grade higher than the one I got slabbed, the 88 there. So it's a great looking book condition wise. Great bondage cover, and this is what the theme of this last segment is going to be. It's going to be talking about bondage, and particularly about these books, and then more generally the history of bondage covers.
Bondage covers, yeah.
Yeah. So the other book is a mid-Silver Age book. It's a Wonder Woman title there. I think you recognize the book. I think you got a copy, even slightly better than mine.
I haven't showed it yet, but yes, I have this one in actually better condition than yours.
Yes.
How often does that happen?
Yeah. Well, I wonder what the dealer you got it from.
Who's your daddy?
Yeah. Anyway, it's a cutesy kind of mid-60s. It's from 65, and this is that era, the post-code era, where we basically have kind of cutesy kind of stories. Basically, the main story thread of this is that she and Major Steve Trevor go into this movie studio where they're shooting a movie about the curse of Cleopatra, because both the actors have been put into this kind of curse by a kind of coma. So, and anyway, that's the general feeling of these two books. The other book's a Big P book, and the Jungle one is a Retro Rare pickup. So let's talk about, in some general terms, the history of bondage covers. And bondage books generally are generally considered to be depicting the physical, of course, restraint of a female character. Now, ropes, chains, shackles are the most common seen restraining devices, but the material, of course, is only limited by the imagination of the artist in question. Often seen living restraints, including vines, roots, tentacles, snakes, or even other rope-like appendages, are common also. In this case, in the Jungle Book, you see webs, nets, and glowing energy bonds are also being used as restraining devices. Bound characters may also be gagged, usually with a cloth or tape, to further the appearance of helplessness. Now, bondage covers were very common in the Golden Age of comics, and fairly common in the early Silver Age. Most of the Golden Age bondage covers showed not only a bound woman, but also portrayed her under threat from a villain, an animal, a monster, or some other deadly danger, such as a fire, drowning, ticking time bombs, or an oncoming vehicle. In the Jungle Books, you see she's snared in a net by these poachers who are poaching lions. The lion is broken out of its cage and is attacking this scared-looking, I would say foreign-looking man who's got very red lips and a turban. In any case, the provocative appeal of such covers accounted for their proliferation and popularity. In Jungle Comics from Fiction House, one of the first titles to prominently feature bondage covers, a fur bikini-clad heroine appeared in bondage on no less than 50 covers of the title's entire 163-issue run. Shows you how prevalent they were, at least in this title, and it is a cornucopia of that kind of thing if you're interested in those kind of books. Now, by contrast, the male hero of the series, Kanga, was always shown rushing to the woman's rescue and was almost never depicted as a captive himself. In this cover, he's at the very bottom right corner fighting off this other poacher who's trying to throw a net over him. Bondage covers were also a frequent theme of the early superhero titles. When Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane made her very first cover appearance in Action Comics issue number 29 from 1940, she was depicted as a bound and gagged damsel in distress. Now, because comic books of that era were mainly targeted towards younger readers, bondage covers attracted controversy due to being perceived as lurid and provocative.
Yeah.
Controversy intensified in the socially conservative 1950s, prompting psychiatrist Frederick Wortham to write his now infamous 1954 book, The Seduction of the Innocent.
Yeah.
He contended that comic books were corrupting the minds of young people with their excessive violence and degradation of women. On his hit list of targets were the numerous Jungle Girl titles, as well as Phantom Lady.
Yeah, I think you actually brought this up once before in an earlier episode.
Yeah. Phantom Lady is the holy grail of bondage collectors. That issue number 17 is a huge book. And the lowest grade in the latest Overstreet, a 2.0, a good book, not a very good grade, is $2,000 US.
Okay, so for clarification, that's Jungle Comics number 17?
No, the Phantom Lady 17.
Oh, okay.
That is the holy grail, okay? Of course, in the highest grade, a 9.2 in the latest guide is 20K, 20,000.
Wow.
That is the holy grail. The bondage cover art of that issue was singled out particularly for attack, and that basically explains away the reason for that very high price. People who are into bondage covers, that is their grail, and they will pay very, very large money for
Top
that
dollar,
book.
yeah.
Also, DC Comics in their documentary mentioned bondage covers in DC because in Wonder Woman was always in peril.
Yes, of
Always
course.
in peril.
Let me speak to that. Now, to end on the Phantom Lady, that cover featuring a buxom Phantom Lady struggling to escape from ropes was presented by Wortham along with the caption, and get this is kind of funny, sexual stimulation by combining headlights with the sadist's dream of tying up a woman.
Oh my lord!
Wow.
You gotta laugh at that.
smokes.
Wow.
Now, of course, even the most famous female superhero in comics, Wonder Woman, was pointed out by Wortham as having a bondage subtext. Now, of course, despite being a symbol of female empowerment, Wonder Woman was appeared in bondage on more covers than any other well-known superhero. Now, Wortham's book led to the creation of the Comics Code Authority in 1954, which shook up the comic book industry. It was essentially the job of the CCA to censor the comic book industry from publishing material that would be considered inappropriate for impressionable minors. Publishers who relied on good girl art combining with bondage covers for their sales, such as Jungle Girl publisher Fiction House here, quickly went out of business due to restrictions enforced by the CCA. Bondage covers became much less frequent, and those that were published usually depicted the restrained female in a less extreme manner that was previously the norm. And
Yeah.
that's exemplified by the woman cover there. It's cutesy, it's fun, it's non-threatening. It's still a very appealing image, and it has to charm in that sense, but it's not as threatening, of course, as something from the golden age, the pre-code era, such as the Jungle comics right there.
Yeah, it's true.
To finalize thing, over the decades, progressive social changes, anti-censorship sentiment led to a decline in the influence of the CCA. By the 1980s, independent publishers simply chose not to have their comics approved by the CCA, allowing them to publish more overt bondage covers in the tradition of the Golden Age. The CCA's decline culminated in its industry giants DC, Marvel, and even Archie Comics all breaking away from the CCA by 2011. That same year, the CCA became defunct. Bondage cover art has survived to the present and seen a surge in popularity with publishers like Dynamite, publisher of heroines such as Red Sonja.
Oh yeah.
Not the only one either. What was that? The Zenoscope? You see a lot of kind of.
Zenoscopes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's modern age good, or should I say
Yeah.
bad girl art. It's great covers,
Yeah.
and you
Great
collect it for that sense.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's some.
since we're getting close to November 11th, I have to just mention that Wonder Woman was actually one of the most popular titles shipped overseas to our veterans in World War II. Absolute number one.
Well, a lot of those heroes were incorporated into the fighting effort. That was kind of propaganda,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
propaganda
absolutely.
used for good in a sense of making and keeping the fighting spirit of men by like giving them a sense of a beautiful woman, female empowerment, fighting the Nazis on their behalf too.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, those Golden Age books are great. Wish I could afford them, but even high-end Jose does not have unlimited funds.
Yeah,
I own
yeah.
a Superman one.
Yeah. Well, that's some great information. Those are some great books, and that is some fantastic information, Jose. And that is our second Golden Age book. And wow, amazing! Thanks for bringing them in.
No problem.
Specialist Mike. Yes, yes.
Cleveland Thomas, please report to the registration booth to claim your prize. Thank you.
You know what's funny? On eBay, in the bus, we don't sell them. Really? $15. Loose? Because it's not like a general
Lots, but that means, well, you should have a buyer.
as big as 5.